Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Living the Sweet Life. I'm your host, TJ Sweet, and on this podcast, I'm going to be talking about different ways that can help you live with intention, reshape your mindset, and live with the world through a grateful lens. So first of all, I want to say thank you for making the time and committing to listening to these podcasts and sending me comments and messages and different things about how these short but meaningful podcasts are making a difference in your life and the life of the people that you're the most grateful for. And the fact that you share this with other people tells me a lot about you and tells me a lot about how much you care about the other people you have in your lives, because the greatest thing we can do whenever we find something that impacts us is to then share that with others. And honestly, that's been the biggest catalyst for me in my life, is overcoming tough things and adversity and feeling stuck and feeling anxious and struggling with anxiety and depression and just a whole bunch of uncertainty in my life has really shaped me and has made me the person that I am today. Well, I will tell you that I'm in this constant and wonderful state of becoming. That's where my heart is. That's where my head is. That's where my energy is, in the state of becoming. So it's important to understand the impact that you have and the lives of the people around you by the pursuits that you pursue in your life, and understand that you probably inspire more people than you think. So again, thank you for listening to this and for supporting and for sharing. And I just encourage you to hit subscribe so that you get notifications when these episodes come out every Monday. And just know that we all need reminders. I have reminders for all sorts of things in my life. I have a bunch of to-do lists of things that really help me in my life as well. So I just want to encourage you by just letting you know that you impact a lot of people in your life. And just to give you some credit for showing up in your own life and doing some things that are good for you. So this week, I want to talk about something I've talked about probably, I don't know, maybe a year ago, but it's something that I get to see the power of this tool, and it's really more of this habit on a routine basis. I get to see this with a lot of the coaching clients that I get to work with and just people in general. But it's really made a difference in my life and really helped me kind of compartmentalize certain aspects of my life while understanding that they all interact with each other. So if you can imagine kind of a Venn diagram to where there are certain things that are independent of themselves, but they overlap. Well, all the areas of our lives overlap, but sometimes when we look to, kind of assess where we are and determine changes we want to make, we don't think about how one change in our life could negatively impact something else in our lives. And that's where sometimes we get this kind of cognitive dissonance that I've talked about before, to where kind of, one part of your life makes you feel really great, but then you feel guilty for another area of your life. And so finding this balance. And, if you go to my website, there's an assessment called the Wheel of Life Assessment. And this is a similar assessment that I got introduced to many years ago. Scott Schutte in a gym called Evolve in Columbia, Missouri, introduced me to something similar to this. I've kind of tweaked it and shifted it a little bit to kind of how I use it with my clients. But really understanding that the fact that we want to be somewhere else in certain areas of our lives, we first have to understand where we actually are. But the secret to closing the gap between your current circumstances and the life you want is this assessment. Okay, so it's not really much of a secret because it's something that we all know. But the real question that I really want you to, there's a couple of questions here I really want you to think about is, do you want more fulfillment in your personal and professional lives? Do you know you want more, that you're meant for more, but you're just not sure on where to focus your energy and your efforts? So through this assessment and again, getting to work with the people that I get to work with, we kind of start to discover the areas of your life that are kind of really out of balance. And maybe we can start quickly understanding the root causes for that out of balance, and then helping you close the gap and achieve more balance and have this fantastic idea of shortcuts to success. But shortcuts really is not the word we're looking for. It feels like a shortcut because we're doing the necessary steps instead of wasting time doing other steps that actually don't help us feel like we're moving anywhere. Sometimes taking intentional steps in the right direction may feel like a shortcut because we're so used to running on the treadmill and taking a bunch of steps and never really getting anywhere. So I know that you were made for more. You were made to do incredible things and to contribute so much to the people that you are surrounded by, and you already are doing more than you're giving yourself credit for. And you are meant for this idea of whatever success means for you in this extraordinary life. And really, the best time to start something is now. Putting something off until it's a better time is sometimes kind of a trap that you'll end up realizing that there's never really a better time. It's about getting yourself ready to be prepared for the current moment so then you can have the next moment that you actually want to be living. So the thing I want to walk through today, again, is a free resource for you to go on to my website, tjsweet.net, and you can access this Wheel of Life assessment, and it really is for you to kind of get a sense of where you are. There's multiple things you can fill out. You'll get it emailed to you as well, so don't worry about taking notes. But there's kind of 3 steps to it, and I'm not going to go through in depth because I want to try to keep these podcasts relatively concise. But really, the first step is that Wheel of Life check-in. Right. This is not something that I'd recommend that you do once a year. If you can do it once a week, do it once a month, once a quarter. I think finding a good cadence for you. So typically once a quarter is something that I do with a lot of my clients, is because once a month is kind of like watching your heart rate on a monitor. If you stare at it too much, you kind of just get anxious about it not moving, and it's hard to kind of get balanced. The idea of measuring progress through once a quarter, you can often have a different sense of a rating scale that we'll talk about here in a second. But then the second part that we'll talk about is about closing the gap from where you are to where you want to be. And oftentimes, if we just can't focus on, if you stop and think about like, what kind of life do you want in different sections of your life? Like, what do you want your finances to look like? What do you want your relationship to look like? What do you want your fitness level to look like? If you can't really identify what you actually want, you're you're probably just focusing on the problems or the reasons why you haven't accomplished that yet. Excuse me. But that doesn't mean that you're not capable. Thank you for that moment of grace. Doesn't mean that you're not capable of accomplishing what you want. It just means that you're focusing on the things preventing you from having it instead of the actual thing that you want. So the third step is really about empowerment. So it's the Wheel of Life check-in, closing the gap, and then empowerment. Because the one thing that I always talk about with the clients that I get to work with when I'm coaching with them, whether it's business or personal life or mindset or whatever it is, it's not a dependence. We don't want to create a dependency on me as your coach. Because if you think the only reason why you had success is because of me as your coach, me being there with you all the time, every second, it starts to deplete your own self-confidence to maintain it after you've accomplished your goals. So yes, there's this nurturing space in the beginning to where I am working closely with people, but then there's this natural progression of a transformation to where you start to feel empowered. You start to feel like you're doing the things and you're doing the work, and that's why it's working. I may give you an idea. I may ask you a question, but it's your insight and your recognition of who you are and what you want, what you're capable of. That is what the empowerment we're talking about. So it is something that this Wheel of Life check-in, if you want to change anything in your life, we're going to have to change the way you think in order to change the way you act. Okay, so it's not about changing who you are as a person. It's maybe about recognizing who you actually are and then changing what you do every day. So I'll quickly go through this assessment. Again, I encourage you to go to it. It's on my website, tjsweet.net, and it pops up for you so you don't have to search for it. But really, it's about this Wheel of Life check-in is about 5 different areas of your life. It's about physical health, personal finances, your personal business, or maybe your career, your occupation that you have, relationships, personal development, and then faith or connection or friendships, however you want to kind of define that. But then it gives you a scale of 0 to 5. And this is just an honest time for yourself to understand where you are. And you may kind of recognize where some of the tension of certain things in your life kind of show up. And so really, I'm kind of quickly running through what a 0 to 5 looks like, just to give you the concept of what we're talking about here. And then there's a powerful statement that I'll make in a second here when we're done talking about this. But so we'll start with a 0. What does a 0 mean? I would rank 0. And again, I'm a little bit more whimsical in my rating scale because it really is supposed to be kind of a lighthearted activity, not a judgment and shaming activity. But the first one is a 0, and it's total failure. You feel like you're a total failure in this part of your life, one of those categories. Number 1, then a 1 is it's straight up a problem. So it's not a total failure yet, but it's a problem. and you know you need to do something about it. And then we move to number two, and it's really about I'm quite rough or maybe lacking in this area. So you're not totally shaming and regretting and being negative about it towards yourself yet, but it's really something to where like, man, you want to do better, but you can't figure out how to get there. Then number three is I'm doing okay, though I could be doing better. So that's like kind of this normal state of complacency of like, it's not bad, it's not good, it's just kind of what it is, but I could be better. But we're not inspired by that. Okay. So then number four is I'm doing great and no complaints, which the power of this is what a number five really looks like. And a number five is I'm doing awesome in this category and I couldn't ask for more. That is a very different space than I'm doing great, no complaints. It's about how many great things can you say about that area of your life. That's what a five looks like. So where you're inspiring other people because you're such a five in that area. Okay. Now, the only thing I'll talk about this check-in here, it's important to really understand what each of these numbers really looks like. And so I gave numbers to them because there's a qualitative and quantitative aspect to this. But for really, if we say I want, say if you want your personal finances to be a five, what does a five look like? What is awesome? And I couldn't ask for more. What does that look like? Is it a certain dollar amount per hour? Is it a savings? Is it a career? Is it an earnings per month? What is it for you? And don't be bashful about it. Those goals that make us a little uncomfortable, those are the goals we go after. But we kind of get nervous and we have to use some good energy to start doing some new things and realizing that we have what it takes to accomplish it. So with each of those, physical health, personal finances, your business or your occupation, your relationships, your personal development, or your faith, or your connection, think about how you actually feel you're doing in each of those categories. And then what does a five look like? And then that leads us to the next step. And that next step is closing the gap. So it's really, understanding that your attitude is a combination of your thoughts, feelings, and actions related to each of those categories. And so as we think, we feel, then we behave. So how we think about a certain category is how it's going to cultivate a feeling. And then we're going to behave in a way that's corresponding to that feeling, but we don't give enough credit to the thought that led us to that feeling. So the second piece to this, again, the closing the gap is kind of what is your current result? Like, where are you? Describing kind of, what you want. And then, so there's a current result and then a desired result section. So you can kind of write down and visually look at what is your current result? What is your current state? And where do you want to be? Right? Because in order to close the gap, we have to understand there is a gap. If that's probably the most simple thing I could say. But then that leads us to kind of setting some goals of like, what is that gap, right? And oftentimes that gap between where we are and where we want to be is purpose. Maybe it's hope, maybe it's love, maybe it's optimism. It could be a whole slew of different things. But this third part is about empowerment. So think through these journal prompts that I'm going to lead you through a little bit here. But just imagine kind of waking up a year from now in your ideal state in one of those categories or all of those categories, just 1 year from now. Imagine waking up with your new desired result in that certain area of your life. How do you feel? What would you say to yourself now that in that moment, after you've achieved that best ideal desired state? And what would you look back if you imagining yourself a year from now where you want to be? How would you look back to who you are now and what would you say? Because it's important for us to visualize ourselves accomplishing our goals. Athletes do this, actors do this, super successful. And no matter what people do, they visualize themselves where they want to be and then start to work backwards. So then the second piece to this empowerment is about asking yourself, why is it important? Not just right now, but why is it important to you all the time? Well, and then it's a matter of like, why is it super important to you? Not just why is it important, but why is it important to you? And repeat this to find your why. Repeat this kind of asking why, kind of like a child does, like why. They want to know why something, and they keep asking why until you can't answer why any further. You can't break down a why any further. keep asking those questions. So think about the 1 year from now, think about your why. And the way to find that why is to keep asking yourself, why is it so important to me? And the third step is really something that really kind of shifts our mindset by shifting our heart. But what are you grateful for now in this area of your life? Because working from a place of lack is not going to inspire effort. But what are you grateful for once you achieve your desired result as well? Because, it's a matter of understanding that if we aren't in a state of gratitude for where we are now, we won't recognize the new state and we won't be grateful for the new state. So I'm not saying be complacent. I'm saying recognize where you are now. Recognize how far maybe you've come. Maybe you're not where you want to be, but you've come along further than you were before. And then thinking about your gratitude practice on a routine basis, it will kind of shift you into this idea of creativity and innovation and optimism. And so, it sounds simple, but when you write these things down and you error type them, you actually start to recognize more of the thoughts that you're having. And maybe that's the correction you need, is to actually write down some of the thoughts you're having. That's why journaling is so important. So again, I know what it feels like. I know what it's like to feel like you were made for more and you're made to do more, but you're just not sure where to go, and you kind of continue to feel stuck. Whether it's passive or you're distracted or you're anxious, whatever it is, I've been there with you. And this is why I'm so passionate about helping people in life and leaders and teams reach this greater sense of purpose and success through the coaching and the speaking that I get to do, and just the everyday interaction that I get to have with people. If you want to kind of create this idea of long-lasting, steadfast, sustained transformation, and this idea of whatever success looks like for you, having somebody by your side who inspires you and can challenge you and hold you accountable and call you out and these kind of things. This is the important thing, is understanding that we don't go anywhere by ourselves. We always have other people that are coming along with us. And if people say that they are self-made and they've never had help, or they've never had anybody coach them or mentor them, then they just don't have great self-awareness. That's just the honest truth. But I will tell you, this idea of the people that I get to have in my life and that I'm the most grateful for, they are the reason why I wake up early, why I read what I read and listen to what I listen to, while I do everything to try to become the best person I can be for them, the best person for my own life. But being at my best for them makes me feel at my best. And so doing this life alone is not sustainable. It's not realistic. And so it's about sharing your goals and sharing your dreams, and those people that love you and surround you with, positive affirmations and believe in you and breathe life into you. Because there are often times that, we need people to believe in us just as much as we believe in ourselves. Because the truth is, and this is a hard thing for me to say, because I had to listen to it myself. But no matter how much somebody else believes in you, if you don't believe in you, you'll never hear them. So now is your time. Now is the time for you to take the step in one area of your life. It doesn't have to be making all the things a 5, but maybe how do you go from a 3 to a 4, or maybe a 0 to a 1, or a 0 to a 2, whatever it is. Giving yourself life, in the words you're using, instead of shame, instead of regret. It's just about giving yourself a chance to be on your own side, to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. And if you need help with that, that's what I'm here for. So you can, again, go to the website, fill that out. I'll get a copy of it as well, so that I can kind of follow up with you just to kind of see if you had any questions. But this idea of doing an assessment, I talked about the quarterly check-in as well. But doing an assessment really kind of helps you measure progress, but also inspires you to start taking action. So I hope this assessment and me walking through this is helpful. Again, I get a lot of questions about this assessment because people want to know, they get excited about where they want to be, but then they get kind of they slow down and get a little stuck because they're not sure how to get there. But once you recognize that there is a new place, that optimism, hope, and gratitude and love that you have in your heart, we'll cultivate this energy that I will kind of help you be able to figure out, how do we close the gap, right? How do we add more purpose and more meaning behind where you are now, where you want to be, and where you are now and how you got here, and just this sense of awareness and acknowledgement. And then where do you want to be? And how's that going to feel? What's it going to look like? And how's it going to impact the people that you love the most? And I don't make any decision in my life thinking about without considering the people that I love and the people I'm the most grateful for. So I'll never make a decision in a silo because of this activity. Everything I do, I want it to add value to the people that I love and I'm the most grateful for. And I'm never going to sacrifice them because that's ultimately what I know for the rest of my life that is going to be the most important thing for me. So I encourage you to take this assessment, share the assessment with somebody else around you, send it to me. If you want to talk more about it, if you want to start closing the gap, if you're ready to get unstuck and feel less anxious and feel less worried and less stressed and all these things, because oftentimes these are the things that we think about, but we're not sure how to get there, and that stresses us out and makes us not take action because we don't even know how to get started. So trust me, I've been there. I'm with you. I'm just a little further along because of all the work and things that I've been doing, but these are all things that we all need to do all the time. So don't feel like you're behind or that it's too late for you, because it's not. It's never too late. And so I just wanted to kind of wrap everything up here quickly and just say thank you for subscribing on YouTube and on any podcast platform that you listen to. And I appreciate you sharing and commenting and sending any questions my way like you do, and for sharing topics that you want me to dive a little deeper into. So I appreciate all of you. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. And I will remind you, like I do at the end of every episode, that you always have the power and the choice to reshape your mindset, live with intention, and look at the world through a grateful lens. Until the next episode, never stop.